And we're back on the Backroad Radio Show. I am your host for the entertainment, Andrew Funky, and we are lucky because we've got live right here in the studio, not just by phone, but actually here in the Backroad Radio Show studio bunker, Mr. Riely O'Connor and the always lovely Miss Molly B. Moon. Guys, welcome to the Backroad Radio Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Andrew.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, for the audience out there, these guys were actually recently down in Nashville, Indiana, playing at the Muddy Boots Cafe, which is a great little place, and they happened to be passing back up this way. And we, when we found out, we had to get them in. It's gonna be special. So, guys, I want to start out just talking about kind of your background. I mean, I know sometimes it's a little bit of a cliche question, but how did you guys get started with this whole thing, traveling around the Midwest, playing folk music like this?
Well, I got started doing solo stuff did my first solo show in about 2004 after kind of going solo with my songs in 2002, and recorded an album and started doing the open mics and getting out in the world, whereupon at an open mic sometime in 2004 or 5, I saw and heard Molly B. Moon and was very impressed. Molly, tell a little bit about where your music came from.
Yeah, I started playing music a long time ago. I got my first mandolin when I was 21. Played in my living room for a long time. I played Irish music. Got pretty fast on the jigs and the reels and the strathspeys and the hornpipes. And I was in some pretty good local bands in South Bend, Indiana. And I loved playing Irish music, It's tough and it's hard, but after a while, I wanted to write my own songs, and I'm sure meeting Riely and being very attracted by what he was doing made a difference. And I'm happy to say now I've got a few songs under my belt, and I've got a lot of ideas for a lot more music.
And I had come from sort of a rock and roll background. I got started kind of late in life with the guitar and writing in the late 80s and then early 90s, started to write, and then put together a rock and roll band with my brother, and we did about 70% original stuff and then some covers. So previous to my singer-songwriter solo stuff, that's kind of where I came from, a lot of rock and blues influence there. And then Molly and I actually got together as people about 5 years ago.
It was my cooking.
I can vouch for that. The cheese sandwiches are incredible.
I knew she was a great singer, a great mandolin player, a great musician. So as time went by, and I started writing some songs, there was a voice and a place for Molly, and then 3 years ago we recorded In the Meantime, and that sort of solidified it for me, and I started asking her to do more shows and then do a little travel. And then so somewhere in 2007 and 2008 we really started to do more of the weekend Midwest thing, and then a lot more shows locally. And then last year we knew when we were out that you really you need an album to be out and performing, and people expect it, and it's just nice, and they come up after the show and they want to have some of your recorded material. So last year that was really our focus, was the album, and so
that was a good thing too, because focusing on an album has made us way better as a duo.
Oh yeah,
way better.
Yeah. So then this year, we have the album. So then we started doing more shows, and our shows work around somewhat of Molly's, when we do the duo thing, Molly's work schedule. She's a teacher, so all of a sudden now we do weekends, and then with the summer we have opening to actually do a little more touring.
Oh yeah,
which we'll
lots of
be
time,
doing, and so
lots of gigs,
and better weather to do it in,
and better weather for travel.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
That whole thing. Yeah.
It's a nice flow. It's a nice life flow. That's for sure.
Well, speaking of touring, I know that you guys are kind of on a mini one right now, and you've got more coming up this summer. I mean, what's the lowdown on that?
Yeah, we've got mini tours, and then we've got mini tours.
Yeah, we did northern Michigan. Actually, we'll make a couple of jaunts up there. We were just up there, and we will be heading west and doing coffee shops and a little festival sorts of venues out in Nebraska, Lincoln. We'll be in Denver, Pueblo, Colorado, Kansas City, our first Kansas show. So that kind of thing. And then after that, in the Midwest, I guess Cincinnati, we shoot down there for a Fountain Square lunchtime show, that kind of thing, which is cool. And we'll be on the Jumbotron, apparently. Yeah, we like that. Some, the booking people we happen to meet in
Berea, Kentucky. Yeah.
So it's that little network that happens to people like us who are doing original stuff, and we need, we're looking for listening audiences, and those are typically found in coffee houses and smaller venues these days. For the little folks like us, that's kind of what we're doing, and we love it when we can sort of reach those people.
Well, yeah, I was actually going to ask how do you land a gig at a coffee house in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I can understand it's all networking. It's that group of people So.
That's kind of funny because I always think of my big impetus for doing music is kind of the urge to find the village well in any group of people, like the gathering place. But here, one of the major tools that we use in 2010 to find those places is we use the internet. Sitting at home in front of a screen, we search these places out, and we look at. Like everybody else, we go to other people's MySpace pages and Facebook pages, and we see where they're playing, and then we go to the Facebook, MySpace page of the place that they're playing at, and we see if it looks good, and then we find out how to contact them, and then we can jump in and ride the stream that way.
Yeah.
Yep. A friend, the place we'll play at in Lincoln, it's just an interesting, I just thought of it, that interesting linkage is, I met a singer-songwriter in Omaha at a place doing a songwriter night, and later had him into South Bend for my songwriter spotlight. He later was doing a tour. I watched the tour. They stopped at the Meadowlark in Lincoln for his tour. So I wind up checking out the Meadowlark for our 2008 tour. We go there. We happen to meet some wonderful young musicians who shared the stage with us that night, who we later that year had back to South Bend for my songwriter spotlight.
Yeah.
And now they are in Albuquerque. And, our next tour, we're going to go to Albuquerque and do shows there. So it is fun. It gets frustrating sometimes to find little places. Probably 6 of the places that we've played around the Midwest, with the financial crunch in the last couple of years have closed. So we have great old venues, and then they close. So it gets a little frustrating there, but you find another one and you just keep going, and you find another audience that is ready to listen and is looking forward to it. And so there we are, and we find another one, and then we find the artists who happen to share the stage that night and find out where they're playing and go to their town, and they come to ours. And it's a fun way to share music and get out there and do it.
Yeah. The 2 places that we played in Indianapolis have both closed or stopped doing music. So all you listeners out there, if you know any good listening rooms in the Indianapolis area, please contact Riely O'Connor or Molly B. Moon on our webpage or Riley's Facebook, and let us know, okay?
Good example, yeah.
Which while we're at it, how can people contact you? What is your website address?
The MySpace page.
Is MySpace, is the best one to find us, find our schedule.
And that's Riely O and Molly B. Riely spells his name Riely. And even if you don't get that right, though, through the miracle of Google, they will say, "Did you mean?" They'll say, "Did you mean?" No matter how you spell it. And,
you'll find us. Yeah, get Riely O'Connor on there, and you're going to find Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon.
And my whole life until a couple of years ago, I was just Molly Moon. It's my given name. But there is a lady named Georgia Bing who wrote a series of novels for teenage girls, kind of like in the Harry Potter scheme of things. And her heroine is named Molly Moon. So she's an orphan who is a master hypnotist. So if you Google Molly Moon, you will get over 1 million hits.
Yes.
But only like 1 or 2 of them are about me.
So go for Molly B. Yeah.
So I'm Molly B to see if I can carve myself out of the herd there.
You're listening to the Backroad Radio Show on 91.9 FM WITT.
I want to talk about your album, Who Knows When. I know that came out in 2009, and you were referencing earlier that if you're going to be out on tour with any kind of seriousness, you've got to have an album, something to give to people or sell to people. So what is the background on that? How did that get going? Did you guys record that in Nashville, Tennessee? I know you've done some work down there.
One of the tracks. Yeah, one of the tracks. We had recorded the first one that we recorded together. In the meantime, was I sort of invited. I had done 2 albums down in Nashville, Tennessee, and invited Molly down to kind of meet the gang and do that one track, which I released as a single, and we included that in last year's album because it was cool and it was fun. The rest of the album we recorded at home at our home studio in South Bend, and it took a couple years for me to kind of strategize it. I'd always had a home studio, so I was pretty comfortable with it over the last 12 years, but in the new place, figuring out the rooms and all, and we just wound up, as it turned out, with this wonderful vocal room, 9-foot ceilings. I have some nice, microphones, and it just wound up be a great space. We were able to isolate drums in the living room, and we sort of strategized everything. And so we wound up doing actually 9 of the 10 tracks then are done at our home studio, which we call Dulce Domum.
Dulce Domum, from the wind and the willows.
From the wind and the willows, yeah. So that was that, and so as it turned out, we didn't do much touring or travel last summer. We focused,
worked on that.
We recorded
it was
9 songs. Yeah,
fun actually.
And we didn't use Nashville musicians either. We used all local musicians, and that was really fun.
Yeah, it
and
was
really effective.
Yeah, and some wonderful talent as
There's
is.
good musicians all over.
Almost any
probably
town.
All over the
you
world.
can just find
Absolutely
these
true.
wonderful players, and you put the arrangements together, and you give them the space. And we always like to give them free rein. Let's do your style on this song, and so it was, and we got some great performances, and as it turned out, the space really is a wonderful recording space. It just happened, and we did get some great tracks, and it was fun. The title came out of one of the songs, a piece of one of the songs, and we kind of picked that, and then send it off to the disc makers and get your 1,000 copies back, and here you go. We just opened another box of them happily the other day. We have a little celebration.
That's always a landmark, isn't it?
each box that we open. All right, here we go. We're going to fill up.
Progress,
Yeah.
Well, actually, you guys, if I understand correctly, are going to play the lead song from that album, a tune called "The Reckoning," live right here in the studio. So,
looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, actually, is there a little background on that song, or a story to that?
Yeah, let me tell that
Go
part.
for it. Yeah.
When we travel south, we go down South 31, and we go through Kokomo on our way to Indianapolis, and on south of Kokomo, there's this little graveyard that's on the side of the road, and it's a country graveyard, and it's pretty old, and you can tell that it used to actually be on a country road, but then they built US 31 right next to it, and then they widened US 31 once or twice, I'm sure, and now there are gravestones in that graveyard that are 3 feet from the edge of the road, and you see the semis rumble by, and they spit gravel on those graves, and that turned into some of the imagery in this song called "The Reckoning." I would turn to Riely and I would say, "Riely, whatever you do, when I'm gone, don't bury me in that graveyard by the side of the road." And that turned into the song, too.
And I had the opportunity of being handed the majority of that song by Molly. She brought the majority of the lyrics, the chord progression, and the melody to me and asked for my help. And I immediately heard it and immediately knew that this was really a special song, and I was being a songwriter, I was thrilled to be asked to sit in and add a bit to that song. So actually, it's our first co-write that we have recorded. That's why it also was kind of special, and we kind of led off the album with it, and have had good response up in our area and radio play up there, and it has been given best of by one of our local folk radio stations up in our area. And
that one's on our MySpace page, isn't it, Riely?
Also, yeah.
If you tune in to that, you can listen to the fabulous Rick Willey, a fiddle player from St. Joe, Michigan, who does some just fabulous old-time gypsy licks on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, live right here in the Backroad Radio Show studio bunker. It's Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon with The Reckoning right here on the Backroad Radio Show.
If I had a nickel for every lie I ever told, I could never work another day and stay rich till I was old. But if I had $1 for every good deed that I'd done, to put with all those nickels, it wouldn't be but one. I had a baby daughter by a man I barely knew. I held her once, I kissed her twice, then I let her go. I couldn't keep a house or job or nothing very long, and something told me dragging her around would be all wrong. Just don't bury me in some graveyard by the side of the road, you know, where cars spit gravel on the graves and big trucks shake the ground with heavy loads. 'Cause I've been spit on all my life, I ain't never found no peace. Oh, lay me down in some quiet ground when my soul's released. If I had an acre for every single thing I ever broke, my land would stretch across these hills here to Roanoke. But if you had an inkling of all the battles I've been through, you would understand when I say I'll surrender when they do. Every day since I went away, my girl's been on my mind, and every night I pray the folks who raised her were kind. And when he hears my sorry tale, will the good Lord let me in? Will he say what I did back then is my salvation or my sin? Just don't bury me in that graveyard by the side of the road, you know, where cars spit gravel on the graves and big trucks shake the ground with heavy loads. How about you lay me in that flowery-bound retreat, where I can wait for Judgment Day when me and my girl meet? Oh, how about you lay me in that flowery-bound retreat, where I can wait for Judgment Day when me and my girl meet? Whoa.
This week's episode of the Backroad Radio Show is brought to you by
Locals Only Art and Music Pub is the place to hear great live music 6 nights a week, see unique pieces from local artists, have a drink, or enjoy a meal. If you mention the Backroad Radio Show during our Tuesday night blues jam, you will receive $2 off any food item, limit 1 per person. We are now open early Tuesday through Friday at 5 p.m., and we offer $1.50 domestic cans from 5 to 7. Locals Only Art and Music Pub. You don't have to be a local to come in, but you'll be one by the time you leave. Locals Only Art and Music Pub, located at 2449 East 56th Street, or online at localsonlyindy.com.
And we're back on the Backroad Radio Show. I am your host, Andrew Funky, and we just heard from Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon playing a live track right here in the studio. It's a song called The Reckoning off of their album Who Knows When, which came out in 2009. And in case you're just tuning in, we're talking with Riely and Molly about what they've got going on and what's coming up next. Well, I know the next song that you guys want to play here live in the studio is a song called In the Meantime, which I've had the privilege of hearing before, and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite songs you guys do. But it's got a real kind of a country ballad flair, and I know that you guys play some of that anyway. But I know Riely, you were talking about you started a rock and roll band and that sort of thing, and Molly, you were doing more Irish folk music. So how did you guys end up getting into this kind of country vein and mixing that in?
That's a good question.
It is. I did have the rock band going. And we were doing covers, and then I suddenly, in like 1992, riding down the road, I wrote a song and brought it to the band, and sheepishly said, "I've got one," and the band turned to me, and then I had to play it.
I know that was difficult.
It was awful, but they loved it. They thought it was great, and the guitar player did a great solo, and so it was really cool. And so, well, that's all it took. Then I'm off and running, and as it turned out, there it was in the 90s, and I'm writing these songs, and at that point, along the way, country wasn't that cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, not name any names, but there were some artists out there that were really commercially just pumping dry.
Oh, yeah.
And people were like, country. And I had these songs that started coming out in my voice, and I thought about it, and I said, well, should I change them? And I said, no, this is it. This is the way they're going to come out. Mm-hmm. And I started writing these songs that had this country flair to them, and I brought them to the band, and they looked askance for a minute, but they were my voice, and these guys are great musicians, and they fell right into it, and so I had great support there. And so I don't know where it came. I think, growing up as a kid, it was embedded somewhere. Those wonderful 50s and 60s classic country songs. I was listening to I was watching TV one night, and it was one of those 6 o'clock on Saturday, and they have the infomercial thing going on with greatest hits of the country hits of the thing. And I was oblivious. This was some years ago, back in the 90s or something. And I was fixing dinner or something, and these songs would come on, and I go, I love that song. And then and I'd listen, and then I'd be working along, and another song would come on, classic hits of the, and I said, I love that song. And I realized that I loved a lot of those 50s and 60s sort of hits from country music, and found myself, I said, I have been greatly influenced. So when this one came along, I wasn't surprised, and we just happened. Molly and I were together when I wrote In the Meantime, and invited Molly to sit in and sing with me, and that it just sort of got magical, and people loved it, and I loved it, and that's when I said, let's go record this, and so that's kind of my background in the country, and I other than just having it suffused through the air. As a kid, I'm not quite sure where, but there's a bunch of it in my voice and in my writing.
Some kind of osmosis. It just soaks into you.
It did, absolutely.
Well, why don't we go ahead and play it? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon with a beautiful song. Like I said, it's one of my favorites by them, and it's called In the Meantime, and it's right here on the Backroad Radio Show.
I shook my head and said yes, that's what I would do. when you asked me to be patient and see this thing through. You did not yet feel you could let our real love and life begin. So in the meantime, could we just be loving friends? Oh yeah, I'm fine, but in my mind there's a slowly turning screw. Is your other one a lover, or is he just friends too? Though I'll likely fend off these demon thoughts, maybe win you in the end. In the meantime, the passing days might just do me in. In the meantime, what's my heart to do? In this lean time, while I wait for you, the one truth my heart now clearly sees is just how mean time can be. How the twisted twine of our lifetime binds our unfolding fate, and what might have been lies tangled in what is. And so I wait, and while tomorrow holds sweet promises, you just don't seem to care. And in the meantime, today gives its cold blank stare. In the meantime, what's my heart to do? In this lean time, while I wait for you, the one truth my heart now clearly sees is just how mean time can be. Just how mean time can be.
And we're back on the Back Road Radio Show. We are here live in the studio talking to Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon all the way down from South Bend, Indiana, to sit in live with us and play a few songs for us, as well as just let us know what they're up to and what's coming up next. Guys, I want to thank you again so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun, Andrew, and it was nice to see you again.
It is. It's nice to see you guys. A bit of a reunion of sorts. We're actually going to outro the show. That's going to wrap things up here for the Back Road Radio Show this week, I'm sorry to say. But I want to do a few thank yous before we go. I want to thank, as always, my producer, Deacon Tim Plunkett, for making me actually sound like I know what I'm doing.
Yay, Tim!
Yes.
The hidden power behind the controls, like the Wizard of Oz. I also want to thank WITT for putting us on the air for another week and generally putting up with us. And I want to thank each and every one of you out there listening to the Back Road Radio Show. If you guys weren't listening to this show, there'd be no point in us doing it. So we really appreciate it. Really appreciate your feedback. And in fact, you can actually give us your feedback by going to our website, which is backroadradioshow.com. And while you're there, you can find out more about Riely and Molly. We have a link to their website, as well as some of the other great artists that we've had here on the show. You can also download all of our old episodes for free. That's absolutely free. And you can even look into getting some free Back Road Radio Show merchandise just by clicking on one of the links we have there. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to the music. Riely and Molly, again, thank you for being on the show. I know we're going to do a little bit of a rocker off of Who Knows When, which came out in 2009. It's a tune called I Don't Need You. So, what's the story behind that one?
Did that come from your rock band, The Enlargements?
Yeah, pretty much early years.
And when we recorded this one, we invited Todd Zozek, the lead guitar player from that band, and he did a blisteringly good job. And I shamelessly have copied all of the licks that I could figure out how to do on my mandolin. So this one, when you tour, you don't take your whole band with you if you're touring in the style that Riely and I are doing it. Yeah. So if you want to hear Todd Zozek, get the CD. But yeah. I like the way we do it too.
Yeah, rocking. Yeah, it was one of the first songs I ever wrote, and it's just kind of, I don't know, rockabilly, early rock, just get it going. And the simple concept of if you don't know what to write about and you're a brand new songwriter, try the days of the week is a good place to start. And by the way, thanks Andrew and Tim, the power behind. This not just because we're here, but and y'all are friends for several years. But this is a quality show, and I am recommending it to people up in our area, and they are listening. It really is. Your selection of music is really cool, and the background that you give, Andrew, is second to none of the DJ kind of thing that I'm hearing out there. It's just a real delight to listen to, and we're proud to be here. Believe me, this is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it turns out you do have a voice made for radio, but not a face, as I said before.
Well, I can't think of a better way to intro this song. So, everybody, again, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for listening in. And we're going to outro the show now with a tune called I Don't Need You by Riely O'Connor and Molly B. Moon right here on the Backroad Radio Show. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Made your move on Sunday, broke my heart on Monday. Tuesday you was walking out my door. Wednesday I was weeping, Thursday I was creeping on the floor. Friday I was better, Saturday I don't need you no more. Hey this man is free. Don't need you like you never needed me. January's cold and February gets old and March won't find me swimming in no pool. Every month go by, it's so clear that I was such a fool. Now I'm walking strong, I will no longer be your tool. You had your way with me. Now I don't need you like you never needed me. Yeah. Made you move on Sunday, broke my heart on Monday. Tuesday you was walking out my door. Wednesday I was weeping, Thursday I was creeping on the floor. Friday I was better, Saturday I don't need you no more. Hey this man is free. Don't need you like you never needed me. One more time now. Hey this man is free. don't need you like you never needed me.